Libras, welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Um, Please give me a like, share, and subscribe. I am just getting started, so any of your support is my hair, I swear. It's very helpful and super appreciated. Okay, let's get started. Gnosis, the Destroyer, Kairos, the Apocalypse, the Mentor, the Vow, and the Box. Oh, leaves. Okay. I feel like okay, we'll start with the apocalypse. The apocalypse is just this like massive ending. I mean, one thing after another thing, right? It's just kind of like this like the clearing of the forest. Like the lifting of the veil. So while there is a lot of devastation that is accompanied with the apocalypse, there's also a lot of clarity that comes along with that. Like a lot of clearing away of the confusion because it's like this idea of like the burning away of any of the confusion that may exist. And I feel like part of that, like that understanding that you're coming into through these endings is, like understanding like cycles that you found yourself in relationships that you are in. I was watching this movie the other day, Celeste and Jesse Forever. It's such a good movie. I love it. It's like a really sad rom-com. But it's real because it deals with like the reality of relationships and how you can love someone, wholeheartedly, and yet like it doesn't, there becomes like a level of stagnation that can be like take form in a relationship, whether that's, like income disparity or um what like I want to say like you're just unequally yoked, right? Like you don't share the same values, you don't share the same perspectives, you have different friend groups, you have different lifestyles, I mean, I just kind of feel like there's this idea here of just really having to understand why it is that you can dedicate yourself so fully to something and still not have it work. If you haven't seen that movie, it's on YouTube for free, so like totes check it out. I don't know, I feel like it might sit well with your soul. But okay, so then we have the mentor in the vow and Kairos. And I feel like leads again, it's this idea of just like, I mean, Kairos is patiently waiting. It's also kind of like my creeper card, so it could play out differently. But I feel like really there's just this idea of you've made like I feel like there's an idea of like I made a commitment. Like I made a commitment to my life. Like I feel like the idea here is like my commitment went beyond just this person. My commitment went beyond just this role, right? Like my commitment is to like my life, what I want in my life, how I see that playing itself out, my relationships, my friendships, my, like my workplace environments. Like there's just this idea like I want to say of you knowing what it is that you promised yourself, and and I want to say just like bearing witness to like all of this destruction, but in this bearing witness of the destruction, acknowledging cycles that you found yourself in, and how it is that took place. And the mentor is the idea of, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, like somebody who's able to really offer you some guidance, like through this. And for some of my Libras, I almost want to say there's an idea here of like those who can't do teach. And I kind of want to say, like just this idea that maybe you're finding someone, or like there's somebody in your life who is going through like similar issues, and just kind of like I want to say like having somebody who's there with you through it all, just kind of like to help you understand, like why it is that something didn't work, why it is that it just wasn't suited to you, why it was that like in spite of the love that was present, there were restrictions like it every time you turn the corner. Um, and how that can feel limiting to you and how that can feel restrictive and how that can cause conflict. Because I feel like one of the things that you've really been going through, like this like process of like sorting through your emotions is the idea of like, well, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy? And like, well, there has to be a good guy and a bad guy. And it's just kind of like this, like, well, no, like everyone is equally, a part of this. And what is it? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You don't have to have bad intentions in order to behave poorly. And sometimes you can have the best of intentions and still things don't work, and really having to understand like, how does that happen? Okay, Leaves. Let's see what else I can get for y'all. The Queen of Wands and the Empress, the Fool and the Ace of Wands. I feel like you guys are getting an opportunity to do something. So I don't know, maybe you have connected with somebody in business who is like, hey, I have an idea, like, let's try this. Like, that hasn't been working. Let's go this way. The Queen of Wands is kind of like this, like, call to action. Like, the troops are headed out. Come on, guys, like, get it together. Let's go. The Empress is somebody who has a lot of abundance. I mean, it's a card of harvest and development. And I feel like there's an idea here, Libras, of somebody saying to you, like, okay, like, there's a lot here to work with. I kind of want to say, like, whoever it is that you are, whether this is a friend or, a love relationship, obviously take it how it resonates, because I think that it'll play out differently for all of you. But I feel like it's just this idea of like, okay, like, you have a lot of good. Like, let's take that good and go this way with it. You know what I mean? And I want to say, just kind of like acknowledging that, like, in this end, while there was a lot of destruction and there were a lot of endings around you, you have made a promise to yourself about what you want and the life that you want to build. And yes, there was a need to break out of this box, break out of this pattern, break out of this, like, this restrictive arena that you were existing in. But it doesn't negate the fact that you still have made this promise to yourself, that you still have a lot to do, a lot of value, a lot to work with, and an opportunity to do that very thing. Okay, beeps, positive, I love. Okay, let's see what else we can get for y'all. Whoa. The Fool again, that's fun. Okay. So the Fool 2 times. I love when you get 2 cards, like 2 of the same cards from different decks. It's just like, it's good confirmation. There's a new beginning here for you, Leaves. There's an idea here that you are really going to be setting off on something that's different than anything you've done before. I think, honestly, Leaves, it's just this idea. I'm sorry, stop messing with my hair, but it's like a mess right now. I think it's just this idea that you feel like you're missing out. The Knight of Cups is this idea of like, I know that there's more for me out there. The Nine of Wands is the idea of, the Phoenix rising, of like rising up into your power. Like, that you've worked hard. And I want to say, like, being able to really see everything differently, right? Being able to see that, like, there doesn't have to be this idea of like the good guy or the bad guy. Things sometimes just don't work out, and there's reasons to that. And you've been able to really focus on yourself, and it's giving you an opportunity to just completely head in a new direction. I mean, it feels very liberated, honestly, Leaves. Three of Pentacles, as above, so below. This also the idea of, like, when you stay focused on like working and developing the little things, right? Like, there's a lot going on around you, and sometimes all you can do is just like focus on whatever it is, right? Like, sometimes, like, for me, I like to paint. It's like, okay, if I feel like everything is just like, there's nothing that I can control right now, the only thing that I can do is like create, right? And I feel like there's an idea here, Leaves, that you, like, when everything else is like falling down around you, you stay focused on something that you are passionate about. So that when you are making a decision to really part ways with whoever it is, you're making that decision. I mean, the Knave of Swords is kind of like coming in like this quick truth. And I want to say that, like, whatever this truth is, it sets you off in a completely different direction. But I feel like it's one that is more aware of the minute details of like what it is that you really need when you're working with people. In your friendships, like what works in your friendships and what doesn't, what works with your relationships and what doesn't. And I want to say, just like, once you're able to really more clearly define what works for you and what doesn't, like if you're the type of person who's like, they need to check all of my boxes, I feel like your list just expanded exponentially, you know? And so I feel like, but like with this, like this expanded truth, this expanded awareness, you are empowered to really set off toward like that next phase. And I kind of feel like there's somebody who is like, I want to say, just like cheerleading you along the way. It's fine. Okay. Leave. The hunter. Yeah, I mean, Leaves, I really do feel like there's just this idea, like there's something that you promised yourself and you have, I want to say, really acquired an awareness that is setting you off with this new truth towards this beginning that feels just like so lighthearted and so excited and so different from the energy that you've been residing in. And I love it. So, Leads, I hope that this resonates with you all. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you're interested in booking a personal read, please click the link in the description box below. If this is where we part ways, thank you so much for spending some time with me. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.